All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Congress wants to restore nukes on conventional B-52 bombers. Of course, nukes has been the last 3 days. Every single news media has been talking about the 50 different things we are doing regarding nukes and nuclear weapons being moved all around the world. But why? Congress is laying the groundwork to restore nuclear weapon capabilities, and again, we're actually going to talk about the numbers of why they're doing this on roughly 30 B-52H Stratofortress bombers that have been converted to drop-only conventional munitions as part of the new START arms control treaty with Russia. Both the Senate and House defense policy bills for fiscal 2025 would require the Air Force to once again make these conventional bombers part of the nuclear triad, nearly a decade after removing those capabilities to comply with limits under the new START treaty. The current treaty is set to expire in February of 2026. Now, one thing to point out is that, of course, the stealth bombers and the B-2s and all of these crazy, really advanced tech nuclear bombers, you would think that would be enough as far as on top of our silos and on top of our submarines. Why are they doing this? Well, this would actually outnumber our other bombers if they end up putting these back into these stratofortresses. So they are almost, I think it's like doubling the flying nukes as far as in that quota. And then, of course, they're also adding, in just the last year and a half, they talked about how they are now adding in the ability to launch missiles from cargo planes. If you remember, we talked about Mike Minahan and how he strangely got rid of all of the markings off of all of the cargo planes for the military. He's in charge of basically all of the military cargo that goes around the world. He removed all of the identifiers off of the cargo planes a few months after saying that he believes that war with China is coming, and gave a memo to his employees. So very, very spooky how much they are adding into their nuclear arsenal, and why is it being done? Well, a lot of people just look at this and say, oh, this is just a bunch of saber rattling. Well, the exact things that are being changed here is kind of odd. It's almost like they're adding it to this because those other ones may be targeted. They've been landing planes on freeways and on highways. Why would you do that? Well, you would do that in the hypothetical scenario that all of your airfields got taken out. But it's not like, our adversarial countries have been purchasing up crazy amounts of land outside of all of our airfields and bases. I mean, that would be nuts. But of course, if that was true, then I guess it would be kind of something important to add this to more planes and more jets, and pretty much anything that flies, try to add a nuke on it. So we're going to talk about this and much, much more on tonight's show. And we're going to talk about North Korea and Putin and everything else that's going on. So stick around. We'll be right back. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Today, we've got a lot to cover in a short amount of time, so if you have not already, make sure to go over and check out today's page for today's show. It has a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we're going to show you here today. So if you're new here and you're asking, well, where is this all coming from? Do you have sources for this? Again, you see that all the time now. What's your source? What's your source? We have all of our sources here and always have. So you can go back years and it's all archived on our website. You can go to the search bar and you can actually find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we've used to make today's show. That way you have footnotes, you know where we got the information, and you can go check our work yourself. It's a lot of work to do this, so if you want to support us in any way, make sure to share our show out with a friend or family member, especially if they're into following world events and not just stuck in their own bubble in their own 4-block neighborhood. So let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we have a lot to go over today. Well, first of all, welcome to the Foogle fam. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Alicia DMD, Meepup007, Wages World. Thank you for modding. Luke Chase, we've got Butterfly 31, Shugs. Finally got some rain today. Today we have here, it is incredibly hot. It is just absolutely nuts hot here for how we usually get, or, you know, anybody in Washington and Seattle, it's 69 degrees and we're like, oh, we're about to die of overexhaustion. But yeah, that's literally how it feels because we're just not used to it. Smoke and Swamp Outdoors, what is happening? Surgery 68, the sky here in Utah, spectacular sunset. You know, I actually have a friend that just posted a picture of, it was near Utah. But yeah, you guys had crazy, crazy, crazy skies. And then always watching from Tennessee, Donnie Graham, thank you. And Rashid Rudvon, RTube7, thank you. Stealth Mode, of course, thanks for being stealth. Dragonfire, we've got Charles May and Miss Dragon, thank you. Johnny Ditto, hey back. Hey, nice to see you guys. I'm getting sick again. I don't know how. I've been getting sick left and right. I've had just bad luck this last couple weeks. You know when you can taste it and smell it? That's what I got. And the one smell, every time I get sick now, I smell the same smell back when I first got what they called the CV, that thing that they said went around. That one I do feel like was, you know, doctored up in some way, in every way. Because I've never had something like that one. But I remember the smell and what came out of my nose. They were like literal clots. It was nuts. But the smell of that, and I have that now. Every time I get any kind of cold or anything, now I have that. I think it permanently damaged back in my nasal cavity. It was really bad. Did anybody else have that experience after they got the, you know, the groan thing there? That's how I feel now. Either way, the B-52 bombers, them adding to this arsenal, it's all about nukes, nukes, nukes. Dex, do you want to actually add into that before we move on, and then we'll go into the Chinese nationals?
You know, the more I was thinking about the conversation you and I were having before show, where you were suggesting, hey, is this something to maybe use in other locations? This got me thinking, like, well, what if we're stretched so thin that, you know, obviously we're going to have to use our most powerful and stealthy equipment with Russia and China. But what if we need to go to other places and even potentially drop tactical or conventional? Especially with the expansion with North Korea and what's happening with Iran and the Middle East. So yeah, this is not something. I don't know. It's sort of like one of those things that we used to have it. So should we be worried that we have it again? In general, you would say, we used to have it. It's okay. But given the state of things right now, the fact that we're just pushing so hard for more nukes, that's the part that's kind of concerning.
It's in our text. I was going to have you look up to see if... So these are some of the numbers, and you know what makes sense? A multi-front war, which is exactly what I think is going to happen. You have, so say you have a war going on in China, you got it in Russia, you got it in North Korea, you have it in Venezuela, you have it in Israel, all of which we are backing up the opposite side. So you would need a whole lot more, and I don't think they would nuke all of these places. I think they would use it for big missiles, like big missiles. 19 B-2s. We have 45 B-1s. B-1s, are those capable of carrying nuclear weapons? Are the B-1s capable of that?
Yeah, I think both of B1 and B2 can.
So 19 of these. We have 72 B-52s. Now, in this, it only says that we're outfitting 30 of them. But somewhere else, somebody commented saying that the end goal was to have all 72 able to have them and hold them again. So 30, that beats out our B2s. We only have 19 B2s. So if you have multiple locations going off, you would need more. Not to mention, now that they have retrofitted all of these systems, these other systems, now they have a system where they can launch out of a cargo plane. So these huge cargo planes with the back drop, where you always see the Navy SEALs jumping out the back, they can actually drop a pallet out of that, like something out of Mission Impossible or something, drop a pallet out, and then that pallet has missiles on it, and then those missiles can then start up and accelerate from there. From a free fall, they can fly and go wherever. So they did that for a reason. Now they've basically turned they could even turn a FedEx jet. I mean, Dex, isn't that correct? We could take a jet from FedEx and say eminent domain or whatever. I think that's what you would call it if you snatched a plane. This is our plane now, right? You could take a FedEx plane with a drop thing like that and put nukes on it or put missiles on it.
Yeah, if it has the capability to open a cargo bay in air, yeah. That's what they were talking about, especially with the existing military cargo planes. Like you see the soldiers drop out of the back, or they drop cargo out with parachutes out the back. So the other one that we have is the F-35. That was recently certified to be capable of carrying a nuke. I think there's many hundreds of those, but the F-22s can't do it. They were never designed for that.
Well, it's obvious that they're beefing up, and people want to just poo-poo it away and say, it's just they're just scaring people. I don't think so. I think this is going to be a hot war. People really don't know. I think that everybody's kind of saying that everybody's bluffing. The whole world's bluffing right now, and it's not going to happen. How? The entire world is prepping for a massive war. We're going to lose people. You're going to lose people you know, at least through friends, or if you have young people. I'm telling you, this is going to be, if it goes along the pattern too, we're going to lose much more than we did in World War II. Who knows though? Maybe if it's all robots and drones, maybe we'll lose less. I don't know about that though. And then Ecuador stops waiving visas for Chinese nationals because of an increase in irregular migration. So we've talked about the irregular migration a lot. In fact, the numbers are staggering. I think it went from like 12 or 1,300 in 1 month, and then all of a sudden you see this chart of specifically folks from China. Specifically, that number just skyrocketed. I forget. I don't want to say paraphrase, but kind of give rough numbers. It was like it went from 12 or 1,300 a month, then it went up to 28 or 3,500, and then it went to 25 or 30,000. It's just like a huge number, and many of these are military-age young men. Now, I'm not down there, but luckily we have great journalists down there like Muckraker and others that have been following the entire path, and they've been showing the world that there's actually an entire path that's being helped out. There's pamphlets. There's extremely detailed instructions on how to do this. Ecuador on Tuesday announced the suspension of agreement with China that had waived visas for Chinese citizens traveling to South American countries, citing a worrying increase in irregular migration. Dex, what do they mean by a worrying increase?
Well, I guess we finally have the proof when another country, a Central American country, is saying, or a South American country is saying, hey, there's too much coming in here. We have to do something. But then I'd also question, like, why did they and when did they set up this waiver, this notion that said, you know what, you used to require a visa to come here, but we're going to suspend that so you don't even have to have one. You can come here. Like, what was so special about travel to Ecuador from China that they were like, yeah, just let anybody come over here. We don't need visas. Just jump on a plane and come in. Like, what started that? But obviously, it's to the point now that it's so significant that they're having to cut it back off and say, hey, there's too many people coming through. And they're just a transient location. They're just a location where people move through, and they're complaining. So imagine, what's happening down below at our border. If the countries below us are saying we got too many people coming through, not even staying, coming through. That's eye-opening.
Now, are they taking a boat? So, are they taking planes? I'm sure they're taking all, but if you look at here's China over here. You then go down to Ecuador. This is Ecuador right here. So China's over here. You go across here. You get to Ecuador. They're coming in, and they said through irregular ways too. They're not going through the regular routes. Now look at this path. This is what the path that all of these folks have to take to get to the United States. They have to go through up through here, up through Panama, up through the Darien Gap, which again we've talked about. Right here in the middle of the jungle, they're building a tank-wide column. These are bridges that are made professionally in the middle of nowhere, and nobody knows who's paying the millions of dollars to do it. To make it so vehicles can drive over, and possibly tanks, they're saying. That's how strong it is. They're making it incredibly strong. They have to go through Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, all through this, right? Whoops. And then through Mexico, and then up into the United States. So everybody is doing this journey. And a lot of them are coming from Venezuela, but this is Ecuador saying that they have irregular numbers. So that's not even Venezuela saying that, which a ton are coming through Venezuela and going through that whole line. This is Ecuador. I can't imagine what Colombia or Panama or Nicaragua is seeing. Panama especially, but think about what Mexico is seeing. All of these people that are being, Mexico must be nuts right now. Think about that. If all of these people are coming in at one point or another, there's these choke points where there must be so many tens and tens and tens of thousands of people, and they have to sleep at some point. When they go to these points, it's like they can see people, whole fields of people just sleeping in bags and sleeping bags and in tents. It's like you would think that this would be bad for business for Guatemala, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, for all of these places. Why is it happening? And why were a lot of these officials in all of these countries turning the other way? Why were they being silent on it? I don't get it. But yeah, that's more signs that exactly what we've been talking about and the theories on the internet that have been going through our community for now a few years. It's only more evidence that it is true. And then White House cancels Iran meeting with Israel after Netanyahu scolds U.S. over weapons, quote, fuming. Dex, do you want to go over that?
Yeah, certainly. So we talked about this upcoming meeting. They were supposed to have this high-level meeting at the White House and to go over the new findings of some computer software and some other stuff that's going on in Iran related to their potential nuclear capabilities, and potentially a decision was going to be made at that meeting as to how urgent this was of an issue, because it was coming from both of the intelligence agencies from the two countries. This meeting was supposed to be pretty important, as we reported 2 days ago, or it may have been yesterday, but 2 days ago we said, hey, this is when the meeting's coming up. It's Thursday. Well, now it's been canceled. So apparently there was some video that was made that was basically saying that America was not upholding its end to support Israel, and specifically holding back on weapons delivery and other stuff like that. Well, that has enraged the White House to say, no, 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 you can't say that. We haven't actually done that. So in retaliation for that, they canceled the meeting. They said, hey, you guys putting out a video like that to your, to the people or to social media, et cetera, that's not good. And they're in a sort of a tit for tat over this type of messaging, because obviously it's not good for the administration to be seen that way. But it also then was interesting. I think Karine Jean-Pierre said that only one shipment had been paused since the start. So actually, it's true. I guess they did pause shipment of weapons. But to some extent, I think they're suggesting that what Israel was saying was much stronger than that.
She says that only one has been paused, so that means it's true. But then says, we genuinely do not know what he is talking about. What? Like, how, even though I know she's this, she's just the media spinner. She just spins whatever truth they need to put out, right? But the other thing is, give us the tools and we'll finish the job. Benjamin Netanyahu, official. Wait, so and everybody talks about this, how they have a really big military. They have all their own stuff. Does this sound like Zelensky? I mean, that kind of sounds like what Zelensky would say. Give us the tools and we'll finish the job. Give us the tools so we can defend ourselves. I guess the United States, everybody's just getting tired of giving and giving and giving, when it's like, this doesn't come out of the politicians' pockets. All these top tier politicians, they're not paying. They've got these loopholes where they donate to a charity, but the charity ends up giving them something back for putting their name on it, or names a building after them, and then ends up paying them in other ways. And then they don't pay taxes on that money. It's like, but all of us are getting taxed at extreme rates. And then all of this money that they take, somebody like my daughter works 30 hours and gets paid like $200. It's crazy after taxes. It's like, what the hell? I guess, everybody has a heart. Everybody cares about people in all of these countries. But I guess most people are just tired of us having to foot the bill. And by us, it's us. It's not the politicians. It's not the people in charge. They have these loopholes. We know. Heck, our former president told us. One of the first things he said, one of the funniest things is Chappelle monologues on SNL. He goes, oh, it was funny when T-Man says, I know you guys have these messed up, tax loopholes and stuff. He goes, because I use them. And he goes, I know you use them too. Otherwise you'd change it. It's like he admitted that basically they get off of all of these things. They avoid all of this through loopholes. But yet we are the ones getting billed. Our inflation is crazy. Our gas is crazy. Everything is crazy. Nobody can survive. You have to make $300,000 a freaking year to be comfortable in my state. Nobody makes that. And that's to be comfortable. That's not to be rich. That's like to be like, if your car breaks down, you can actually fix it. It's getting horrendous. And I'm not even sharing my opinion on the sides of this battle. It's just in general. I think everybody's just tired. Everybody is just sick and tired of all of these places. Everybody, just gimme. I guess I guess you could put it into words. What do we get back for all of these countries around the world? We get a good fuzzy feeling. In a lot of cases, that's all we get. Let's see here. Especially with UK art, right? All right, and then we're gonna pop into the chat here in just a second. Thank you guys also for going and checking out My Patriot Supply if you haven't already. If you haven't got yourself a backup storage of food, this is a great option. And the reason why we give you this one is you can get bulk freeze-dried food that will last 25 plus years. And of course, it is at a huge discount. This is one of the most affordable ways to do it. You're going to get a chunk of course, food that you know exactly how much you have. So say if you buy a 3-month, you're going to have 3 months of food for one person. Or if you want to break that up into 2, that's a month and a half. If you have 3 people, you have a month each. Easy to do it that way as far as big families and things. You'll know exactly how much you need if you're trying to get to a goal. Like, I want to have 6 months of food. I want to have 12 months of extra food. This last 25 years, so as far as whatever the price does in 25 years from now where food cost is, that's not going to matter to you because you have it stored. You can store it essentially very easily and then keep it. In 5 years from now, if a carton of eggs is $80, well, it doesn't matter. You can actually, instead of going and paying the hyperinflation prices, you can just dig into your own supply. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. I think that storage food like this and the freeze-dried food like this is going to save lives in any event. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It could be a storm. And we've already heard so many different stories from people that have had freeze-dried food and stored foods that have a total effect during a bad storm or a power outage or rolling blackouts. So it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It can be any kind of disaster where this comes into play. So definitely get your prep on. I think that more people are starting to realize that I don't think that there's much time left before all of this starts getting really, really downhill. Go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. Not only will you get a huge, giant discount up to $200 on certain packages, but you'll also be helping our independent channel. Again, we are on our own, and we're trying to go up against behemoths. So if you want to support us in another way too, just make sure to hit that notification bell, and of course, hit the subscribe button. All right, let's go back to the map. Let's see here. Iran accelerates nuclear enrichment capacity. Dex, I'm going to have you go over that one. I'll hit on the next.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Fordo underground facility, which you can see there in the map, that's the location in Iran where they do a lot of the enrichment. What is now being reported there in Fordo is they have now expanded. So just like we were talking about the new technological capabilities they supposedly had, and were going to be talked about at the White House tomorrow, but got canceled. This is also new information that's now coming out, and they're saying that the expansion that they had notified the IAEA of its intentions to upgrade the facility, which had ceased enrichment back in 2015, but is now presumably underway. The construction of installation of nearly 1,400 advanced centrifuges over the next month, enhancing its capability to produce enriched uranium. That's a lot. 1,400 advanced centrifuges over the next month is what they have told the IAEA that they're putting in. The planned deployment includes newer model IR6 centrifuges, which we all know what those are, right? But they're more efficient than the IR1. I would hope the 6 is better than the 1 that they're currently in use at Fordo. But nonetheless, this, joking aside, this is, again, more the rhetoric, but maybe even specific, potentially evidence that we're getting closer to that point that everybody's saying they either have it already, and we just don't know how much they have, or they will have the capability of having nuclear weapons. So many think they already have it, and they just haven't announced it yet. They're waiting for the right time, because once they do, that is their, they got one shot to sort of say that. And they're probably going to wait for the right timing. And maybe the question is, they're going to wait till they have a lot of it, or are they going to wait till they just have 1 or 2? Do they want to pull in a North Korea, or do they want to look much bigger than they potentially are? So that's the question.
By the way you said centrifuges, and everybody knows what that is. And again, the centrifuges, to assume that everybody knows what that is, I had science class, and I had a really cool science class that used those, and they spun the vials in them, and you spin them super fast, and it separates the stuff. That is a centrifuge, correct?
Well, that was my sarcasm at the
I know, but no,
IR6.
What I was thinking in my head is all of these videos of these TikTokers that go around the streets and ask questions like, what is a quarter of an hour? and they're like 25. And they're like, how many dimes in a dollar? And they're like, oh man, why didn't I get an easy question? Like 18 and dimes in a dollar. And then, or they say 60 or whatever. And it's like, and I get that not everybody's good at math. I'm horrible at math. That was my 1 week subject. I was like, college, post-college level in reading and everything else, scored insanely high past college when I was in 10th grade. But math, I was always like 6th, 7th grade math, horrible math. But the fact that the majority of the youth and the kids and what they know right now is pretty bad. And they've so reduced school, like back in I think I was the last generation that really had it, unless you're going to some really crazy private school. The public schools, it's like anything that might make somebody feel stupid, they're like, let's remove it. Oh, tests? Oh, you can opt in or opt out of that. Oh, and then the test scores, they don't really matter. Oh, and everybody wins and everybody gets a trophy. I can't believe, tech is going so crazy. Everything's evolving, but people are severely devolving, at least here in the U.S. And I'm not speaking for all the countries in the world. And that is a system error. That's not because of the people. It's because of the system. The system and people that are purposely trying to, it looks like self-sabotage. Like somebody is in there trying to sabotage. I don't get it. They don't teach cursive anymore. They don't teach so many things because, it's hard. Well, that's life, It's like, this is why you have videos of people spraying gasoline on their windshield because they're complete morons. They lived 20 years and they never saw somebody put the gas nozzle in the frickin' car. Like, it's not a car wash. Just my side rant. I am turning into that old man saying, get off my lawn. It is happening fast. It's like a metamorphosis. It's like I was a caterpillar and I'm turning into an old man butterfly. All right. Let's go over to the chat. Thank you so much. By the way, D-Live, Kimbria, Chance Paladin, Shugs, I appreciate you guys. Carlton Sutton, thank you so much for your support. Kat Nevitz, thank you for your support this week. Gillian Mason, thank you. I believe that's the British pound. Thank you from over there. I don't know where you're located, but again, thank you. Carlton Sutton, Kat, and Ilea, thank you as well for modding and everything you do. Pawn Shop Rare, Stormhawk, Lola Cafe. Super nice to have you this week. Thank you so much for your support. And then, of course, BNB, Josh P, Danish Girl, and then, of course, Carl Mosher. Thank you, and thank you. All right. And then Romania is to purchase South Korea's K9 howitzers worth $920 million. So the military-industrial complex, no matter where you are in the world, is just absolutely buzzing. But Romania will buy, and this is Romania. So let's go over to the map here. And okay, great. We have it actually here. So Romania is one of the places that has actually dug trenches. They dug hundreds of miles of trenches along their border. They have put up barbed wire fencing. They have actually put moats in different places. And they are rumored to, just in the last couple of weeks, they are also talking about dragon's teeth. So tank defenses, those big things you see in World War II, concrete, huge things that makes it harder for tanks to roll through, and palisades. So this is the same kind of move that Poland ended up taking, which, of course, everybody has been following that as well. So they're purchasing all these tanks like they're getting ready for a war. And I'm sure for $920 million, probably a good chunk of that is something they probably got a chunk of that from Andrew Tate. Who knows? But again, Romania will buy $920 worth of South Korea's K9 self-propelled howitzers. They make it sound like a lawnmower, do they not? self-propelled. In its largest weapon acquisition in 7 years, Seoul's defense ministry said on Wednesday. The deal was announced in a meeting between South Korean Defense Minister Shin Wok-sik and his Romanian counterpart Angel Tovar during Shin's visit to the Eastern European country. In April, South Korean and Romanian leaders held a summit and pledged to boost defense industry cooperation. Romania's decision to purchase K9 howitzers, following in the footsteps of Poland, again, like I said, this is exactly, we're seeing it every place, is doing the exact same playbook, will expand the footprint of South Korea's defense industry in Europe, Seoul's defense ministry said on Wednesday. So they're working to establish itself in the world's fourth largest arms exporter. So who's the largest? It's probably the U.S., right? I wonder if like Russia's number 2. Like how many are on the allied side, and then how many are on the enemy side? Where is China on that list? Where is Russia on that list? I would think that Russia would be up there too, especially right now. In fact, Russia might be above us currently just because of the war. But yeah, that's obviously a sign of the European countries are straight up preparing. And then Dex, Russia to threaten to seize assets from U.S. and allies.
Okay, so Russia has now threatened to threaten the U.S. and its allies over the seizure of $300 billion of its assets. So officials at the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs have warned that it could confiscate Western assets currently within its jurisdiction. So I don't not necessarily know what those specific assets may be, but this was a statement that came from the Russian press minister, Maria Zakharova, said the country was considering seizing the Western assets currently there in Moscow. Its response to the West confiscation of Russian assets may extend to Western property and funds in the Russian jurisdiction. So to the extent that any, maybe Western-based companies still have assets over there or have money in banks or anything that may have been held, that I guess could now be not only just held, it can actually be taken and seized, they're saying. I don't know if it's as much, if it comes anywhere close to that 300 billion mark that seems to be, that we seem to have claimed against them. But it might be interesting to see if there is any significant amount of assets. It's interesting, a lot of companies had left after the UKR invasion started. A lot of companies bailed out and left, but then there's still some brands that are still over there, even some major ones that are still there. So I don't know if any of those could be picked off, like a Coke or a Pepsi or someone like that. I don't know to what extent those assets may still be there or still be generating funds inside of Russia or within its control. But
I thought Coke
they're
left.
Obviously upset about it.
Or maybe,
I thought they did too, but I've also seen reports that it's still there. So I don't know how.
Because I saw like one of the news outlets showed that they have like their Russian soda or whatever. But they had Mexican Coke. That's what I remember at least. But the other thing is so say I don't know how it works. If can somebody who's a dual citizen in Russia and the U.S. Well, that rarely exists, by the way. That's like super, super rare. If they owned a property in Russia, would that include regular people that own stuff or regular people that own companies over there? Or say if it's a citizen from another country, are you allowed to own a business in Russia? So say if there's a mansion in Russia, if some rich celebrity has a mansion in Russia, could they then seize that and then sell it and take that money and give it away? I mean, this sounds like it is a financial war. This is the financial and the economic part of World War III. These are huge numbers. I mean, this is mind-blowing numbers, especially in Russia's terms. Their GDP compared to the U.S.'s, their GDP compared to New York. So that much money, if they tried to match that or something like that, that's a big deal. It is definitely a tit for tat, though. And then Filipino soldiers had to use their bare hands to fight off Chinese Coast Guards with swords, a general said. Man, this just keeps getting wilder, but this is exactly what we all thought was going to happen. We called this many times. It's gonna go from hose spraying to this to that to now it's bare hands to fight off Chinese Coast Guards with swords. Swords. Again, Filipino soldiers had to defend themselves with bare hands against Chinese Coast Guards armed with swords and knives, according to the Philippines. The Chinese Coast Guard personnel reportedly rammed their vessels into the boats belonging to the Philippines on Monday. This sounds like a pirate battle, right? Like pirates swinging across. But it says General Romeo Bronner, the Philippines' top military commander, criticized China for what he described as reckless and aggressive behavior while the Philippines Navy and Coast Guard were delivering supplies to Filipino soldiers in that South China Sea. So it's all revolving around that shipwrecked boat where they have soldiers. It's always regarding that. And they're not taking no for an answer. They're saying, this is our waters. This is our land. And I don't know where it is in relation to the Spratly Islands. It's close. So they've built these Spratly Islands. How many hundreds of miles this isn't even hundreds of miles away. So I wonder how long it's going to be before they actually do have control over this. If you look at the Spratly Islands, they have bases on them now. They have people living there. They have businesses. They have stores. Did you know that? They have supermarkets for the employees and for soldiers. They have people living on the Spratly Islands full time. They have airfields, they have barracks, they have SAM sites, they have all of that. So I wonder how long there's a reason the Filipinos are there in the first place. They understand that those Spratly Islands mean that very quickly China will be able to claim that as their land or their sea. So this is definitely not a good escalation to see, but it's what I expected. It's what I told everybody I thought was going to happen, because it's going to escalate. It's going to keep escalating. It's going to be a little step at a little step at a little step. They're both trying to push each other. They're both saying, you be the first one. You punch me. You punch me. No, you throw the first punch. It's not like a you hang up, I hang up. No, this is much, much worse. And then Dex landmine blasts and inflicts casualties. So this story has kept, I don't know if this is separate from the shooting, but
yeah, so this is exactly what we had talked about last night when we were suggesting that we had heard a lot of this, but it was sort of rumored, or not fully yet confirmed, at least at the time with some of the sources we were looking through. But now it's come out that in addition to those incursions that were happening into the south and the warning shots that had been fired numerous times, not just once, but more than once, and then they were setting up tank deterrent systems, as well as this whole DMZ in between the north and the south has been riddled with mines. They also suggested that the north was putting in more mines. Well, it's now been confirmed, though, that the northern troops there have actually suffered multiple casualties, including potentially others that have been injured. They don't know the total numbers yet, from those mines going off. Either they're just tripping on them or they're setting them off in the process of trying to set them up. One of the two is happening. But that is sort of the update. It's this continuation. And this has been going on now for weeks. It started with the balloons, started with the poop balloons, if you want to call them that. And then the lettering and loudspeakers. And then you started to see the incursions. And what was happening and what was being suggested by the South is it appears that the North is preparing for an all-out conflict, because they are starting to prepare the land. They're clearing out areas that you would need to be cleared to have better visibility. They are putting in anti-tank measures. They are putting in mines. And of course, in those two things that have happened in the last week, they've crossed over the line in the DMZ where they're not supposed to. And they're getting, warning shots fired at them. So this is all amping up. And it's amping up quite a bit in the North and South Korea area.
Yeah, I think North Korea is going to be where this all starts to pop off. With this barrier thing, this is like they're like straight up ready for zombies. Do you see this? They have spikes, like it's a bumblebee thing here. And then maybe this is bad translation, but it says no reverse running. No reverse running. Grab that guy. If you get it, you get it. All right. My dad joke of the day. If you guys haven't already, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. Again, this is a device that can protect you and your family against an electromagnetic pulse attack. What it does essentially is it grounds the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before an EMP or a Carrington level event from the sun can fry your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, generator, or even your home. They even make one for your ham radios. They make a device for pretty much everything, and now they even have the EMP Shield Micro, which is literally almost 80% smaller, but with all of the same protection. For a few bucks more, you can get it into some very small spaces. So again, go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/EMP. The most probable scenario, if we ever get attacked, the first thing they're going to do, just like any military operation around the world, if you're going to attack something, you're going to turn off the lights and turn off the power. If they try to do that to us, at least the very least, you can end up protecting your cars and your transportation so you can get home to bug in or get out to bug out. This is an item that will be useless until you need it. And once you need it, it is going to save your life. It is, it's kind of like, I guess, almost like a tool, like that I don't know what they call those, but that tool that if a kid or somebody chokes, it's like that thing that you can literally pluck something out of somebody's throat. It's like
Jaws of life.
What is it called?
Are you saying the jaws of life?
No, it's a tool for kids. It's like this bag that basically you put it on somebody and you squeeze it, then it pulls out and sucks whatever they choked on out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
what you're talking about.
But
I know the name of it, but
Jaws
that's
of
cool.
Life too. I mean, it's kind of a useless thing. Like, oh, let's pry open this doorway. Like, I don't know what you would use those for outside of that, right? But once you do need it, it's going to be a lifesaver, and that's why all of our affiliates are something that's going to either save your life, make your life more comfortable during a disaster, or frankly keep you alive. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. I believe that the more people that have this, the better off our entire country gets. The same company is outfitting DHS and DOD and agencies like that, and of course on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. You can find out about them too. They were in the EMP resilience report by the Department of Homeland Security. So yeah, it's a very, very good device, and if they're protecting their essential stuff, then we should be protecting our essential stuff, our families. It helps us out. It gets you a giant $50 off discount. Again, I think it's a win-win, and it's better than just donating to the channel. It's something where you get something you're going to save your butt with, and you help us at the same time. All right, and then former CIA analyst says North Korea's Kim Jong-un does not look healthy. I've heard so much speculation about him in general, and even if he's even the same guy. But when is Kim... Here's my question. Dex, when has Kim Jong-un ever looked healthy?
You know, there was the time when he actually looked a little thinner, and of course, everybody questions, is it him? But you know, as we just showed in the short over on Marfoogle News, that even that image of him meeting with Putin, he does look pretty large. He does look, and some of you are even saying he doesn't look like him. But I can't tell just from one photograph personally, but it generally looks like him. But yeah. This CIA analyst who covered him in great length for a long time says that, hey, looking at him, he doesn't look great to me. And that's their quote. And they said there was a time when he had lost a little weight and looked better, but my initial reaction was that he didn't look in terms of being healthy. But his health is something that we always track anyway. So, and that's par for the course because, man, everybody has said he has had all sorts of health issues, but it's so hard to know what's true and what's really coming out of there, and if they would even tell us. There was a time when everybody thought he was perished, and to this day, some people still think he might be, like you said.
I question it because after that he had brain surgery, and then they said why wouldn't you question it? The media all over the world said, oh yeah, he died. And then was like, no, psych, he's in a coma. And then they were like, psych, he's recovering, he's just fine. And we're going to have his sister talk for him for the next 3 months. But he's totally cool. He just, wants to take a break from the cameras. Yeah, super weird. And then Dennis Rodman, his NBA bad boy friend, says, yeah, I can't talk because, I am a family friend. Me and him go fishing and we're best buds. But if you hear his sister start talking, there's a problem. Within like a day, his sister makes a comment. And it's like, wait, what? In their culture, they do not view women as high up on any pedestal. So for her to then, they had to change their whole religion around. Their religion centers around Kim Jong-un. He's a god to them. At least that's what they try to tell their people. He doesn't use the bathroom because he actually doesn't have an exit down there. That's how holy he is. That's how great, in their belief. So however they had to change it around for her to be, the one speaking for them, it was crazy. I'm sure they just said, well, because she's of the same blood that makes her, fit to speak because the whole family is magical or something. But I don't know, just everything with it. Or is it a double? Did somebody already replace him? What do you guys think? Go check out the pictures of them greeting each other. See what you think. I thought he looked normal. Is Mount St. Helens about to blow? America's most dangerous volcano is recharging 43 years after the catastrophic eruption that was the worst in U.S. history. Now, Mount St. Helens, my mom and my sisters lived all through this. It was a very freaky thing as far as they were in Yakima at the time, and Yakima had the whole ground covered. It was really, really crazy to see that far away. Think about that. Where is it on here? Yeah, like Yakima's over here. So, oh no, I guess it is. It's a lot closer than I thought. But yeah, they were in Yakima, so they were about this far. And it covered the ground. So this is Mount St. Helens. They were over here. Said it was the wildest thing. And this is right before I was born. My oldest sister said it was just nuts. So a lot of people lived through this, and they said it was unlike anything they had ever seen before. And they're saying that it might actually have some sort of another, big blow up. And they say that it's begun rumbling again. Now, what freaks me out about this is the earthquakes centered around this have been recorded at 8,300 foot. Basically, up there in the volcano, something's shaking in there. And most of these, more than 95%, have been less than a magnitude 1.0 and are too small to be felt at the surface. The largest quake recently at the volcano, which is located in southwestern Washington, about 50 miles northeast of Portland, was a magnitude 2.0. There are fears that the earthquakes could lead to another massive explosion reminiscent of the 1980s eruption that left 57 people perished and permanently altered the area's ecosystem. That is true. It's very, very crazy what it did to the whole area, to the whole Washington area, everything else. In early June, the number of earthquakes recorded per week reached a peak of 38 events per week, mostly happening around 4.6 miles below the crater floor. Now, one question I have too is because all of these other folks are looking at Cascadia subduction zone and saying that, that's also a lot of pieces coming out and stating that they think this actually is going to come sooner than they thought, which I predicted many years ago. But one thing is that you have to keep in mind is volcanoes can trigger earthquakes, and earthquakes can trigger volcanoes. So if you have something big like Mount St. Helens go off, that's pretty scary considering it's very, very close to Cascadia. That whole ground, the whole North American plate would be shaking underneath. So could that trigger, if something was already ready to blow, if you have a huge, huge volcano like that, could that affect it to the point where, say, a volcano at Mount St. Helens ends up triggering Cascadia? Cascadia is so big that the entire country is going to move like 45 feet to one side. Could that then trigger Yellowstone? Like, these are some crazy thoughts and some crazy, really, really crazy what ifs. But at the very least, nobody wants to see this thing blow up. Volcanoes are not fun for anyone nearby. Just talk to the Pompeians. But again, that was pretty well covered. And Foogle Fam submission to play my video. Dex, do you want to? I'll give the basic thing, but let's give credit to Brandon Scott 82. And do you want to talk about the description here of what this is, Dex?
Yeah, certainly. So it says SpaceX Vandenberg Air Force Base, California. They were capturing this on 6/18, which was just a couple days ago, this launch out of Vandenberg, which we've talked about, all of these launches that have happened. They happen to notice some stuff breaking off in the middle of it. Now, it could be natural or normal, I should say, or it may not be. But it's certainly a scene that we don't always get to view, and this is someone's footage, so take a look. It's worth watching. You'll see shortly around the 1 minute mark where we're watching now of this great plume of the launch. Right just before 1 minute, if you look closely, you'll see some little dots break off and then they start to descend. Now, of course, I think, as we notice a lot of these SpaceX launches, they have reusable rockets. So I don't know if it's the rocket stages or if that's too early and something else is coming off, but take a look and see what you think.
Yeah, so look, let's see here. And then
just before the 1 minute mark, like 55 seconds, I think.
Yeah, so why it's about to happen here. So don't want to miss it. It's in about 7 seconds from now. So look at that. Here, maybe I can even zoom in a little bit closer. So check that out. And then let me right here. See that? Here, let's reload it right at the.
Stuff breaking up in there?
It's gonna explode.
Oh, what is all that? Stuff breaking up in there?
Yeah, it's staying there. It's gonna explode. Oh, it looks so cool.
Whoa, look at all that.
I love this style. Yeah, oh my.
You know what that looks like?
See that?
Yeah.
There's chunks.
Shut up.
3 now.
Look at that other one. There's like 2 of them.
Bro, why is it so... Yeah, tire missed out. This is the best one yet. This is the best one.
Look at that. So are
Whoa, look at all those.
those aren't coming? Those aren't coming back in lane. What is that? That's so weird.
Whoa.
It's like moving freely within it.
It's almost trying to write something.
It almost looks like a freaking UFO flying next to it or something. How is it so stationary?
That is not. That just went down. That didn't even go off. That just went down. I failed.
So
You know,
actually,
there's 3 other things trailing behind.
so are all of these their stuff that can come down and land? Like, are all of those things falling off have their own rockets, and that somehow they're keeping up with the main rocket and like staying the whole way with it? I don't know. Dex, like I know that they have, one chunk. Most companies are supposed to do this so that stuff doesn't just like free fall onto somebody's house.
Yeah, that's why they usually launch over water, like in Florida or in this case Vandenberg. They go out over
China
the
doesn't.
water. Yeah, or well, China recently started launching off of boats, literally off of the boat. But yeah, if it's a free fall, it's got to land in the ocean, or it typically do that. That gives them an opportunity to reuse it, or at least gather it back if they so choose. But Elon's got obviously he has the rocket bodies that are capable of landing. They come back down. So but I just thought that was one stage. That was just one part. And it comes back down. It's the largest part. I also don't know that there was a separation there. Usually I would assume there'd be some sort of change in that power that you're seeing right there. But maybe that was the rocket body coming off. But there just seems to be more than one, like you say. So it's kind of odd.
Yeah,
I've never studied these, but
when something pops off, it does a big ring. Like it's almost like if somebody was blowing a smoke ring, all of a sudden it changes, and then it makes another one, and then you see the smoke changes, or you know what I mean, the trail.
You would think. I don't know how these trails work. Obviously, there is something that's special about these when you're on the West Coast and the time at night, which is why you see them, because they are so high in the atmosphere. They're actually you're seeing the sunlight while it's dark. So the sunlight is hitting it, which is why you get to see the brightness of it, as they tell us. But yeah, all the other parts, it's interesting. Great catch.
Yeah, Brandon Scott. If you want to subscribe, honestly, Brandon, if you're where you are, you might catch more of these. So I'm definitely going to hit the subscribe button. Make sure you guys do as well. And thank you again for submitting that. And I'm going to click the all notifications bell. All right. And let's go back to the map. All right, so first of all, there's only one reason I'm adding this. Now, I don't usually cover this stuff. I am fascinated by the crazy stuff going on in Hollywood. But the only reason I'm covering this is because of the music video. Now, have you guys seen this demonic music video that he just put out? So, first of all, the whole thing here is that Justin Timberlake has actually been arrested for a DUI. And let's see here. Sorry about that. Hold on. It's my emergency phone here. Hold on. Dex, I would say take over, but this is kind of my thing. Hold on here.
Well, hey, if you want a quick segue, let me jump back for a second while you're doing that, Adam.
Go ahead.
We were talking earlier about Ecuador and China and the migration and the stopping of the Chinese visas. Scotty in chat had mentioned earlier that there was just a day after Ecuador says, hey, we're going to stop allowing these visa waivers to China. Just a day after, they had a massive power outage there. That's what Scotty said in chat. It's a great comment. So I went and looked it up, and sure enough, they had a huge transmission line failures in their systems today, and they've had millions without power in Ecuador. Coincidence? I don't know. You guys be the judge. But that just happened, literally. They make the announcement, and then days later, they have a massive power outage in their country. So I think it's back on now, but it was some sort of cascading disconnection through all their transmission systems, affecting Ecuador. So timing is everything, as they say, right?
Yep, exactly. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for your patience here. Okay, so Justin Timberlake, as far as him getting a DUI, don't care, but the timing of it is quite nuts, because so a lot of people, if you're a fan of Justin Timberlake, of his music at least, of I think he was Backstreet Boys, I can't remember, or was he NSYNC, whichever one he was a part of, right? If you haven't seen this music video, so he put out this music video called No Angels, and I've been pointing out, for a generation in this new like social norm for people not to believe in God, to be atheists, and I know there's all types of people here with all types of beliefs or non-beliefs here, but for a social acceptance of not believing in God, there is certainly a lot of demonic stuff, and I mean like a lot. This is a music video Justin Timberlake just put out. And some are saying that it's almost like a sign that he's basically saying like he is a good person, but Hollywood has basically turned him into this evil, evil person. Now, the video starts out, he shows up, and there's this secret club, and it almost looks like a mosque or something, which is even odder, or some sort of building, right? It's almost like a prayer house. He pulls up, and doesn't look like anything's going on. There's no cars, there's no nothing. Well, he gets to the secret party, and the secret party has himself as the DJ. Now, this is like his alternate ego, his evil alternate self. So he's a good guy in turn, and there's this woman on the dance floor, and the woman on the dance floor is actually what you believe is the devil, right? In fact, this is her, right? She's dancing, and through this whole thing, he's talking about there ain't no angels here on the dance floor. It gets really creepy really fast, and I'm talking real creepy. So then this lady starts dancing with him. They start, freak dancing, getting all up on each other, and then out of nowhere, they're like grubbing on each other. Then you see all these demonic people encircling him. Then she all of a sudden like scratches his face. He's like, what the hell? And then you have all of their eyes go just demonic white. And then all of a sudden there's demons all around him. Like, this is spooky stuff. Even grosser. So then you see the alter ego come in, and you see her. And if there's any doubt by now that this is satanic, right? I think this one pretty much seals it up, right? She is the devil. She has the devil wings, and she spreads her wings. And with this, basically, it goes into her standing above him, and she ends up drooling this black goo out of her mouth and onto his face. I mean, this is just disturbing. How is this like a poppy song? You guys can go listen to it for yourself. But then, I mean, look at the imagery. Like, this is just disturbing. Now they're all covered in this goo, this basically, BLOOD. And then it ends with him getting put in the trunk and his evil alter ego hopping in the car with this girl in the front seat of a convertible. Basically, that he's taken in the devil. I'm like, with all of the stuff, I mean, it's from Lil Nas X to even what's her face, Taylor Swift doing these evil serpent dresses and all of this. Everybody's doing these blood red things. Why is the devil so popular right now in a generation, in a society that's saying that they don't believe in anything? There has always been people and bands and teenagers that rebel against, whatever their parents did. But I just don't understand why there's just so much demonic imagery around. Well, I mean, I feel like I understand why, because I feel like there's a battle here. Like, there's a literal battle against evil and good. What's crazy is a lot of people believe in the devil and evil, those same people won't believe in the God and good. But again, not trying to get into an argument here about this. I find it very odd. And then, so is this a reflection of what he's actually going through in life? Like the guy then gets into a DUI, or that video comes out, whatever else, was this his message to people? And now he has to go through a public humiliation type thing. It's just spooky. Why is there so much imagery like this? Do you guys agree? Have you noticed that? Have you noticed how the red carpet, everything, the red carpet is filled with just these evil, ugly, nasty things. I mean, now it's cool to dress as the devil. Sam Smith and all of everybody you can think of. Dex, go ahead.
Hey, go back to the mugshot. It may just be a lighting effect, but man, is there not something up with those eyes? You know photography and light
weird
refraction much better than me, but just
it's
pay attention to it and look. It almost looks,
Oh, weird. You know what's weird is the right eye almost looks like somebody with horns. But I'm guessing they have two fluorescent bulbs, like what you would see on the top of a business or something. But I mean, it almost looks like a one of those circle lights. What kind of flash is that? What kind of thing has two bars? Maybe that's at intake, and what he's looking at is kind of like the DMV. At the DMV, how they have those little square vertical cameras that you stand in front of, and maybe it flashes real quick with two light bars. But yeah, it doesn't make it look.
It's serpent-esque, right?
Yeah, super. And by the way, what Harvard just talked about with all that, maybe this is the alter ego. And that's funny. The alter ego at the end of the video hops in his car from the bar. And then boom, fast forward, I guess the alter ego got pulled over because he was being dumb. What do you think about this? What I see a lot of is people are praying for him. I thought that was like a lot of nice comments just saying that they're praying for him to find his way. Here's the thing. Music transcends everything. Music is extremely powerful. It's something that it can connect people with people on a different level. It's a very strange thing what music can do and what it has done. I mean, look at the people passing out at Taylor Swift concerts, just as they did at others, like all the way back. I mean, as far as time goes, but Elvis, back when Elvis would sing, women would faint. I mean, it's just, it's insane the amount that music has to do with, social culture and everything else. But what scares me is all of the music that really does get popular is all evil. You don't see really anything that's positive go viral. And when it does, that's why the people that do those songs get super, super, super famous. I think that part of the whole Kanye thing, like when he was first starting out, it was like that everybody was feeling it and that he had a positive message initially behind it, right? That first song talking about, I forget which one, but his jaw wired shut and all that. I'm forgetting the name of it. Anyways, let's, again, thank you, and thank you, Gillian Mason. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Thank you, Kat. I appreciate that. It says, peace out. Always looking forward to the next time. Have a great night, everyone. Bye, Kat, and nice to see you. Merlin and the Fey King's crowned. Thank you. And Stephen McMahon, off to work. It's been an honor to have known y'all. Love y'all. Stay safe. Stephen McMahon. That's kind of an odd question. Hopefully you're okay. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And then, let's see here. And then Russia and North Korea sign a partnership deal that appears to be the strongest since Cold War. Now, we won't go too deep into this because if you haven't already, you should go over to Marfoogle News and go check out that video. In fact, there's lots and lots of really great stuff over there, but essentially North Korea and Russia have just tied the knot, and they've just signed a very aggressive pact, basically saying that if anybody steps up to any of them, to either of them, that they are going to help each other out. Now, as how far that will go, there's not too many details, but they have now signed an official deal, essentially saying that they will back each other up. This is what I expected, and as you guys know, I believe North Korea will be the first domino to fall. I think that Kim Jong-un is going to be the trigger of a bigger weapon. Which, by the way, this is one of the pictures of him. I don't think he looks unhealthy at all. I think he's actually looks better than he has. That this might straight be a healthy double or something. But yeah, if you want to go find out more details about this, go over to our other channel. You can actually just go to today's website and, of course, look for the thumbnail for the show right before this. Now, if you would like to find today's show, all you have to do is click on this thumbnail over on our website, and you'll find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. Now, make sure to go check out Jace if you haven't already. You can, of course, get emergency antibiotics with the Jace case, a very quick telehealth appointment with a board-certified doctor, and you can get not only emergency antibiotics, but you can also go get something like the Jace Daily, which is a 12-month extended supply of your regular prescriptions. Again, if you are a caregiver for somebody, then this is extremely, extremely good thing to do, because then you'll have a year of extra supplies ready and at your fingertips. And then they, of course, keep that going. So I believe every month they send you one more month, and then you can always rotate it into your current supply. So go over to marfooglenews.com/Jase, Jase, and make sure to use the code MARF. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And again, if you want to find out more about that agreement, then make sure to go click right here. Just click right there, and you'll get to the other video. Share that out with friends and family. Please, we'd very much appreciate it. We can't see you doing it, but we can thank you for it. So thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing us out. Have a good night, guys. It's, again, time for the shoutro. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's a shoutro.